Roya, and I'm going to be talking about Carl Panzram. And I just wanted to give a warning because I don't want to throw around some sensitive subjects willy-nilly. So basically, Carl Panzram is known as one of the most cold-blooded serial killers in America because of the amount of people he's killed and the amount of crimes he's committed, and over a bunch of areas, not just one state. So I chose this topic because I am a criminal justice major, and I find serial killers and serious crimes like that very interesting. And you probably have heard of Ted Bundy or the Golden State Killer and some famous ones like that. But this one I've heard of, and maybe because it takes place a long time ago, and not a lot of people know about it or talk about it. It's also not from California. So I chose to pick him just because not a lot of people talk about his crimes, and they're really serious, really, and I just think it's really interesting. So first, I'm going to talk about his childhood and kind of what shaped him into this violent, crazy serial killer that he is, because it kind of makes sense. And then I'm going to go into the crimes that he's committed and how many people he's killed and where. And then lastly, I'm going to go over how he got convicted and his execution. So his childhood. He started his really horrible life of criminal activity at a very young age, around 11 actually. And he grew up in a not very stable household because his father left when he was really, really young, and he was the youngest out of 5 kids. And he was born in June 28th in 1892 in Minnesota. And so once his father left, that kind of snowballed how he became who he was, because he was given a lot of responsibility as the youngest, but he was also a boy, and that was another thing. He had to work on his family's farm, and his mom didn't really treat him very well, or any of the kids, and she wasn't very present. So he was kind of neglected, and in that case he started causing trouble. That started with robbery, just small crimes like that, just pushing people around the playground, until 11 he got in serious trouble with the law, because he was drinking at school at age 11. And because of this, so he then started attending the Minnesota State Training School, which was not helpful, and that's usually where all the troubled kids go. But instead of being helpful, they actually just instilled fear over dominating these young boys, and that meant beating them, raping them, and for any sort of punishment. And there's actually a room at the school that was called the pain shot, because every time a boy would leave that room, he would be bloodied and bruised. So this was known as people knew it, but they didn't know how seriously affected the kids. So this kind of introduced to Carl that if you want dominance over someone, you have to beat them or abuse them or rape them, and then they will listen to you and do whatever they say, because that's what they did to him. So, but then he actually burned the school down when he was 13, and he escaped, but no one knew that until his book came out, because it was just such a random event. And he ran away, and he lived kind of as a migrant, rode trains, and just kind of worked different places. And this is where I'll get into the known crimes and murders, which started young, but then it definitely more things came out after he served in the military in 1907, and he went to Fort Leavenworth Penitentiary for 2 years after his serving in the Army for larceny, and then he escaped and then went on the run, and then he went over in over 10 states and was charged with multiple crimes of like just not as serious. They did not know that he killed anyone yet. But then the reason he kept getting away with it is because he had all these different aliases, and he kept moving from place to place. And one of the big things that did end up happening was that he then, I want to say in 1927, he stole a bunch of stuff from the guy who, they don't know his name, the guy who sentenced him in Fort Leavenworth, and he went on a crazy rampage, and he stole his like bonds, jewels, a lot of stuff, and he used that to fund his like rampage of killing. And then the guy actually had a boat, and he would dispose of the bodies off the boat. And then he finally got caught for that, and he went back to Fort Leavenworth. And then how he got the death sentence was that he actually beat a foreman with a pole in the laundry room. And obviously they're like, you can't kill people like that. So they put him on death row, and he was sentenced to be executed on June 20th, 1929. But he met an officer named Henry Philip Lesser, and he really bonded with this guy. And Lesser kind of helped him like get cigarettes and like snuck him in things in the jail. And this kind of inspired, Lesser kind of talked Carl into writing a book about his crazy life. And this is when he actually admitted to killing 21 boys and men, and then raping and assaulting over 1,000 boys and men. And then, so I'll wrap it, I know more time. So on September 5th, 1930, he was executed, but before they execute him, he actually spit in the guard's face, and these were his last words. So basically, what I talked about was Carl Panzram's childhood, how he grew up to be a criminal, his crimes and murders that he did, and then his conviction and execution. And one of the things that it just really amazes me is that he only actually admitted to 21 murders, but I don't doubt that there are more out there, and that's just kind of like, just goes to show, if he didn't tell us about the 21 murders,